It's 8 o'clock. We are 4 days from Super Bowl 55, and this is Convince Me, presented by 888 Sport. We got a very special props edition of the show tonight. We will be back on Sunday afternoon. We will be talking about the game in its entirety. Tonight is just props, Bucks props, Chiefs props, novelty props. I got Matthew Friedman. I got Chris Raybon. I got Sean Corner. I got Dan Ravel on the Action Network news desk. Everything we're doing, every stat, every bit of research, every bit of analysis, it's all available for free in the award-winning Action Network app. Woo! Boys, this is exciting. We got props. Let's start with the Bucks props, and let's start with Sean Corner. Give me the Bucks prop that I need to bet for Sunday.
So the Bucks prop you need to bet for Sunday is Scotty Miller's under 20.5 receiving yards.
Blech!
Yeah. Antonio Brown is expected to return. He was able to return a limited practice yesterday. Today he was upgraded to full. So unfortunately, his return is going to bump Miller's playing time down. I have him projected closer to 35% routes run per drop back. That's where he'll typically run with Brown in the lineup. With that level of usage, I'm projecting him closer to 1.3 receptions, which is actually in line with the market. Right now, you have to spend, minus 160 or minus 180 juice to take under 1.5 receptions. So this 20.5 yards prop makes no sense. And I break it down fully in the article I just posted on actionnetwork.com, along with my Super Bowl player prop calculator. I have this going under 63.8% of the time. And just one way to think about it, again, I go in way more detail on the article on our site, but the way to think about it is the most likely outcome is he gets one catch. Only 28 of his 37 receptions this year have been under 20.5 yards. So that's a 75% chance if he gets one catch, we'll win this bet. There's the 27% chance he gets no catches. So the math is in our favor here. Take the under. I have a 63% chance of this hitting.
Corner, you always give me props that emotionally do not speak to my soul. And then you throw the numbers at me with all these percentages. And I know that it convinces me because I am a pragmatic, data-driven person. And I think, okay, this is the leader in the clubhouse. And usually that bias is confirmed when I hear what Matthew Friedman has to say, because as he said on the Fantasy Flex podcast this week, also a prop spectacular, there are certain things he's going to do that are disgusting. And I have no doubt that one of those disgusting things will be trying to convince me of something idiotic to bet on the Bucks.
Yeah, I do that just for fun, Chad. I don't even necessarily need to think that's going to be profitable, although that's just an added bonus if it is. And Sean, by the way, I'm going to deal with you later. All right, gentlemen's agreement. No more unders on number 4 wide receivers. This is ridiculous. Anyway, I'm going under Mike Evans, 63.5 yards receiving, taking a stand on a player who actually matters.
Friedman. Can you bet it? I mean, what are you doing here? Can you bet it? Can you bet an under on a 4th wide receiver?
Yes.
Okay.
You can, but it's a BS bet.
No, can you win real money from it?
Yes, you can, but we've had the conversations about how no one wants to listen to conversation about Scotty Miller. Okay, I'm talking about pragmatic.
Okay, if the money winds up in your wallet, I'm good. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, back to pragmatism. Mike Evans, under 63.5. He's great, but he's gone under 63.5 yards in he's gone over that in just 7 of 19 games. Against the Chiefs in week 12, almost everyone else went off, but Evans had just 50 yards on 9 targets. The Chiefs are a tough matchup. In the regular season, they allowed the second fewest yards to wide receivers, and that's because of their scheme, which is designed to limit big plays deep and on the perimeter, and that is exactly where Evans lives. And he's going to run most of his routes against cornerback Bashaud Breeland, who's had one of the best years of his career this season. He's allowed just 6.5 yards receiving per target in his coverage. He's not big, but he's physical, and we've seen in his matchups with Marshawn Lattimore that Evans has a tendency to play down to the size of the cornerbacks defending him. In week 12 against Breeland, he had just 7 yards on 5 targets. This is not a great matchup for him. I think this line is about 8 to 10 yards too high.
Listen, only one person on this panel went 16-4 in their props on Convince Me this year. You can track all that. You can see all that in the Action Network app. Follow Convince Me. You can see that Chris Raybon went 16-4. He's been growing a beard for 20 weeks, people, just for this moment. Give me the prop that can settle this.
Well, Chad, I know that you don't like to bet unders, and this is the last game of the year. So, and that goes for everybody out there too. I know you want to have some fun, bet some overs. So I'm giving you the only over for these Bucks prop out of these 3. And it's Leonard Fournette over 3.5 receptions at -150. I have this projected at 4.5. So I would bet this up to an even 4 at standard juice. But you look at Leonard Fournette and what his role has become. He ran 68% and 65% of the routes per drop back in the Bucks backfield these last 2 weeks. While Ronald Jones was in the 8 to 12% range. He has 90% of the backfield targets in the 2 games that Jones played this postseason. And the Chiefs are allowing 6.6 schedule adjusted running back targets. And one of the reasons, as Friedman mentioned, Steve Spagnuolo, just an excellent defensive schemer in terms of making teams go away from their wide receivers and target the other positions, tight ends and back. So Leonard Fournette has cleared this number in all 3 postseason games. He's running all of the routes essentially in the backfield, and I expect him to continue to do so in this matchup. Remember, Steve Spagnuolo knows how to scheme against Brady. He got one of those wins on him with the Giants back in the day. So I love Leonard Fournette over 3.5 receptions. Brady's going to have to dump it off.
So I listened to both the Fantasy Flex podcast hosted by the 3 of you. I listened to the Action Network NFL podcast hosted by Raybon and Stuckey. And I can't remember which podcast this was on. It was on one of them where Raybon brought up how Tom Brady during the bye week this year went to Bruce Arians and said, give me more checkdowns in the offense. Raybon, was that you?
Yeah. So, and I heard this on the telecast, which is why I love watching. You kind of pick up some things you don't always pick up just looking at the numbers. But I believe it was Romo who mentioned that during the bye week, Brady and the difference between this offense and his offenses years past is that you had usually like 4 guys running underneath and 1 vertical route with the Patriots. Then this year, it's like, you have 4 vertical routes and really 1 underneath. So during the bye, which remember was very late in the year for the Bucks, they had the latest bye. Brady went in, asked for some more, underneath outlets. And we've seen that, the effect of that on the Bucks offense over that stretch. They haven't lost the game since. They've been putting up huge numbers on the scoreboard. I think 30 points in 6 of 7 games. And you're going to see that continue because look what happens when Brady starts throwing it down the field. That's when bad things start to happen. We saw one pop off Mike Evans's fingertips in the Green Bay game. We saw one that was just like a lame duck interception on the sideline. So best believe that he's going to continue to utilize Leonard Fournette in the passing game.
All right, listen, I don't need Friedman and Corner and Raybon to go next level and try to convince me why I shouldn't be on one or why I should take theirs. My head is telling me Corner is right. My heart feels nothing for Friedman or his bets. My soul feels full when I talk about Leonard Fournette over 3.5 receptions. I love it. I love a safety valve for Tom Brady. I love the fact that the pass rush for the Chiefs might be daunting for him. I love Leonard Fournette over 3.5 receptions. I get to bet an over. I get to bet on a player I like. I get to bet on a fun, exciting prop that isn't going to scare me every time Scotty Miller is on the field. Let's go. Leonard Fournette over 3.5 receptions. It's time for news on the 8th, presented by 888sport from Darren Ravel.
Hi, Chad.
Hi,
We are looking at basically every sports book in America having most of the money on the Chiefs. You look at PointsBet, for example, 77% of the bets and 90% of the handle are on the Chiefs, minus 3.5. And by the way, it was 92% 2 days ago, 91% yesterday, 90%. So it's coming down. But then there are these two books that have more money on the Bucks, and that is because of two massive bets. One is BetMGM, which took a $2.3 million bet on Bucks plus 3.5. And the other is Mr. Mattress Mac today. I was told he arrived in Colorado at around 12:05 a.m. on Thursday morning. He sat in the Colorado Springs airport for 45 minutes, where he loaded $3.46 million into his mobile app. And then he pressed Bucks plus 3.5. He then left and then went straight back to Houston. Because of that, DraftKings has 70% of the bets on the Chiefs, and 52% of their handle is now on the Bucks.
Listen, Mattrick Mac today, thanks in part to your story on actionnetwork.com and details like that, was trending on Twitter. And I know we all love Twitter. It's the most important piece of media we follow on a day-to-day basis. So that was super exciting. And you can see why, because it's a big, big story. It is time to go now to Kansas City Chiefs props. Sean Corner, you almost got that first round. Let's see what you can do in the second.
Well, I'm hoping Freeman allows this, but I'm taking the under on the Chiefs' number 2 wide receiver. That's right, the number 2 wide receiver for the Chiefs, Sammy Watkins. I'm going under 3.5 receptions. When it comes to Watkins, it's going to come down to how healthy he is. He's working his way back from a calf injury that's knocked him out since week 16. So, it's been encouraging. He's gotten in a limited practice 2 days in a row now. I think he'll be able to suit up. But, I don't know if he's going to be able to return to his full role, but I'm projecting him to return to his full role. 75% of routes run per drop back. That's what I'm projecting him for. And I'm still showing value on his under. So, if he's limited at all, which is very possible, it's only going to increase the chances he stays under this number. The Chiefs have enough depth at wide receiver with Demarcus Robinson, Mecole Hardman, and Byron Pringle. Step up if needed in case Watkins isn't 100%. So, I'm showing a 60% chance this goes under, but that's projecting Watkins at his ceiling. So, if you think he's going to be limited at all, it's just going to add to the edge on this bet.
All right, do a little bit of the next level math for me. 75% chance that he is at that full strength running the routes that you expect him to route. So
no, at 100%. Health, he's going to run a route on about 75% of Mahomes dropbacks.
75%.
Yeah.
What does that project to for you, if not more than 3.5 catches?
That's 3.2 receptions. And based on the distribution of receptions, that's a 60% chance. And a matchup like this, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, they have an increased target share. So players like Sammy Watkins are going to take a hit from that as well.
All right. Well, I happen to know that during the playoffs, Sammy Watkins averages 5 receptions for 100 yards. Different Sammy Watkins during the playoffs than it is during the regular season. But I don't hate it. Sean Corner. Not like I'm going to hate what Matthew Freeman says.
That's true. And since what I have to say doesn't even matter, I'll just say I like Sean's bet. It's a good one. But I also like my bet. Tyreek Hill over 92.5 yards receiving. Sean's going to give you pessimism. Raybon's going to give you pessimism. I'm going to give you optimism. You can root for someone doing something, which involves the Chiefs just magically exploding on offense, which you can easily see happening. And I think Tyreek is going to be a big part of that. In week 12, we saw him have a career high 269 yards. The fact is the Buccaneers do not have a cornerback who can hang with Tyreek Hill. He moves around the formation, so it's hard for the Bucs to scheme against him. He's not going to face just one corner, but the guy he's going to face the most is Sean Murphy Bunting in the slot. And Murphy Bunting is the most exploitable of the Bucs cornerbacks. This year, he's allowed 9 yards per target. For his career, he's allowed 74.3% catch rate. So not a great player, and Hill is going to be matched against him the most out of any of those defensive backs. And in the games that matter, Patrick Mahomes relentlessly targets Hill. In the Super Bowl last year, Hill had 15 targets. In the divisional round and the conference championship, he had 10 and 11 targets. And in all of those games, he had over 100 yards. And of course, against the Bucs in week 12, he had 15 targets. This game has Tyreek explosion written all over it. I would bet it to 98.5.
You're so right. I don't know how anyone could be skeptical. So we're going to get to that when I get everyone trying to convince me why I shouldn't do it. Raybon, what do you got?
I'm going with Darrell Williams under 45.5 rushing and receiving yards. I think the playoffs have been a perfect storm for Darrell Williams prop to be inflated in the market. In the first game against Cleveland, you had Clyde Edwards-Helaire just coming off, an injury situation. And then you had in the second game, you had a big blowout. So Darrell Williams against Buffalo, he out touches Edwards-Helaire 13-6, but 11 of those touches were the last 11 of the game for running backs for the Chiefs. And the Chiefs were up 38-15 once Edwards-Helaire stopped getting touches. So while the game was in doubt, Edwards-Helaire had 75% of those. And you look back and you look at what Williams did in the first matchup against the Bucs, and he played 5 offensive snaps, did not touch the football. And the reason for that is because this matchup doesn't suit him well. The Bucs are the best run defense in the league, and you're not going to want to use Williams even in clock killing mode if you're still running in clock killing mode at all, because there's an argument to still be throwing short passes. But if you're using a running back, you want Edwards-Helaire with his speed, his ability to make people miss, rather than Darrell Williams just going downhill. So I think this number is way inflated by Andy Reid just kind of putting Edwards-Helaire back in bubble wrap, with the 2-week break, so he can unleash him in the Super Bowl, just like, Damian Williams last year against another great defense in the 49ers. I don't think we see much of Williams with a role at all in this game. So I love all of his unders across the market, but I'm going with this one under 45.5 rushing and receiving, because Edwards-Helaire also ran more routes in the backfield, 49% to 31%. And that would be a downgrade for Williams, even as a pass catcher, in addition to expecting a low yards per carry, even if he does get as much volume as he did these last couple of games.
So look, I know this is the trendy prop, right? I know Corner loves this prop. He wrote about it almost immediately as soon as he saw it. I know you like this prop. Here's my question. Why wouldn't I bet the over on Clyde Edwards-Helaire for his total rushing and receiving instead of betting the under on Darrell Williams?
Because Andy Reid may not pass. Against the Bucs, they threw 49 times. Patrick Mahomes was 37 of 49 for 462 yards. They passed over 80% of the time in the first 3 quarters. They just might not they might not run the football at all against this defense.
Corner, I know you love this prop. Why didn't you grab this one instead of the Sammy Watkins prop?
Because it's been bet down. It was last week. I like the Darrell Williams under 2.5 receptions at -130, and right now it's -200. So that's why I didn't recommend it.
But this is not receptions. This is different. This is a different prop.
Yeah,
so Chad, I think
prop.
Sean was on the receptions, which I think it makes sense too, because he's running less routes. But I just think his overall yardage, he's unlikely to get rushing yards at any significant clip against a defense that allowed 3.3 yards per carry. And he's running just a tiny bit of the backfield routes. So he's not likely to pick up a huge amount of yards through the air either.
Yeah.
Raybon is so passionate about his prop. Friedman, are you as passionate about your prop?
Yeah, but I mean, what does it matter? You're not going to pick mine. What I will say is that I know you love getting the best of the number, and Raybon touched on this. This is not the best of the number for Raybon's prop. Across the board, all of the Darrell Williams props have been bet down because they were way inflated, as Raybon said, kind of based on what he's done in the playoffs. From a value perspective, the Watkins prop is still roughly where it has been for the past 2 weeks.
Oh my God, this is such a hard one. I don't like the Williams prop because of the number. I do like the Hill prop, and I do like the Sammy Watkins prop. My joy will be greater if I win with Sean Corner. So I'm going with Sammy Watkins under 3.5 receptions. It makes me a little more nervous, but I do like it. One thing I want to say, you got to go check out Action Labs. one of our sites. It's one of our subscription products, because there is an incredible tool on there that you can track. You can shop basically for the best lines for first touchdown scored, for MVP. You can see what's happening at every single book, and you can also judge the edge on first touchdown scored based on the projections that Sean Corner has. So go check that out. Also, projections on so many props from Friedman, from Raybon, from Corner, at Action Labs. You got to check it out. It's pretty fantastic. Guys, Darren, did you want to say something? I felt like you wanted to jump in.
No, I'm here, but I want to do the Gatorade prop.
Oh, well, do you want to do it right now, or are we doing it at the end?
No, let's do it.
Okay.
So because you can't bet up straight up on the national anthem, none of the states have approved that. The only thing that has been approved is national anthem up against something in the game. Gatorade then becomes my favorite prop. And everyone thought that red was going to be obvious because both teams have the same color, red. So that was plus 225. That was the favorite. But today, PointsBet tells me that clear / water. So it could be glacier ice. It could be water. Might be even a purple. Emerged as the favorite, 22% versus 20% for yellow and then red. So clear has emerged as a favorite for Gatorade at PointsBet.
The best Gatorade prop bet story I've ever heard, and I told this on the Favorites podcast.
Was the controversy?
No, which I host. Drew Franklin from Kentucky Sports Radio told me a story that Jared Lorenzen, who had been the Kentucky quarterback for a long time, was the backup quarterback for the Giants in the Super Bowl when they played the Patriots, and the Patriots were undefeated. Jared Lorenzen, before the game, texted his buddies the color of the Gatorade on the Patriots sideline, and he texted them the color of the Gatorade on the Giants sideline. He said, whichever team you think is going to win, bet the side you want to bet, but here are the colors for the Gatorade dump. And, Jared Lorenzen, who unfortunately passed away, that is a gambler's best friend right there.
It's awesome. I got a quick story worth telling as we enter these novelty props.
Go ahead.
I was at the press conference for Billy Joel, and as I just said, I love the national anthem. And when I asked Billy Joel what he thought about the fact that you could bet on it, he didn't know. And the way his eyes kind of he's like, what, you could bet on it? I didn't know. Like almost like, what? Like, I haven't been counting. I should tell my wife or something. Like, it was amazing to see his eyes light up and his head doing something other than being like, oh, I shouldn't show any sign here. That was pretty awesome. That was awesome.
I feel like Jared Lorenzen actually texting his buddies the colors of the Gatorade and the Patriots and the Giants sideline is a better story. But let's get to the novelty props.
It is, but this isn't a contest. I had another story. I had 1A. You had 1. I had 1A.
Life is a contest, Darren. But you're right. We're just bantering right now. Sean Corner, take us into the novelty props, please.
So I thought this would be a fun one to bet on. I don't know if it's going to be fun to root for, but I'm taking the under on the total yardage of all touchdowns. Right now it's at 115.5. It's all over the map. Every book has a different number for this, but I have this in my player prop calculator where you can enter in whatever yardage your book's using along with price to get my percent edge. So I simulated the game 10,000 times based on my touchdown projections for each team. I'm right in line with the market. I have 6.7 total touchdowns in this game. I used the touchdown yardages for both teams this year, randomized it, and spit out the numbers. And the median for this was 95.5. So it's well south of the current prop, but it's a 62% chance that it goes under this number. So I'm willing to bet on that. To get a number this high, the total would have to be, in the mid 60s. This is a really, really high number. And I think it's because people are going to want to bet on the over on this. Who wouldn't want to root for a Tyreek Hill 88-yard touchdown? But the math proves otherwise. This is a 60+% chance of hitting the under here.
That's fun. I like it. Anything with 10,000 simulations might get me. Matthew Friedman, go.
All right, I'm going under 11.5 total penalties in this game. This year, we saw 11.3 penalties per game for the league, so that's near the line. The Chiefs have been one of the higher penalized teams, but the Bucs are just middle of the road. So combined, they've averaged 11.8 penalties per game, again, which is pretty close to the line. But here's the thing. In the postseason, we generally see the refs swallow the whistle just a little bit more, and they let the guys play. For instance, in the conference championship games, we saw just 6 and 7 penalties. And in general, we typically see 2 to 2.5 fewer penalties per game in the playoffs than we see in the regular season. I expect that trend to continue in the Super Bowl. I think this line should be 9.5, maybe even 8.5. In the words of Raybon, I would bet this to any juice.
You can't curry favor with me by quoting Raybon. Raybon. Only you can be Raybon. Raybon.
That is true. For my prop, I'm going with another one that I would bet to any juice, and this is Chiefs first downs over 22.5. It's currently at -143 at DraftKings. The Chiefs have gotten 23 or more first downs in 82% of their games, and the Bucs in 6 of their last 8 have allowed 23 or more. So you're looking at a huge hit rate, I think. And the reason why this line is even where it is because the Bucs, with their run defense, they usually limit, other teams from, picking up first downs on the ground, and, they force them into some third and unmanageable situations. But the Chiefs, as I mentioned, are a team that is going to come out and throw all over the Bucs, and so they're not like most offenses, and so they're not kind of running into that same issue picking up first downs. And in the first matchup between the Bucs and Chiefs, the Chiefs picked up 26 first downs, only 5 rushing, and still picked up 26 first downs by way of 19 through the air, 2 more through penalties. So they would have gone over by 3 full first downs here. Love the Chiefs over 22.5 first downs to any juice.
Let's get that on a t-shirt with the Action Network logo. ... to any juice.
I like that. Corner or Friedman, how do you guys feel about Raybon's prop?
I think it's fine. But there's nothing wrong with it. Raybon gave good numbers there. I think mine is better because in rooting for mine, you are implicitly rooting for a good game because we won't have referees interfering.
Corner, when you simulated this, did you simulate first downs?
I did not. Yeah, and the boys put time and effort into their props. I have no opinion the other way. So I just trust them, but I do like my prop.
Here's what I think I want to do. I'm doing something unprecedented on the show that you can only do during the Super Bowl. I am changing from under Sammy Watkins 3.5 receptions.
You're going to regret this.
I am going to go with Tyreek Hill over 92.5 yards receiving, but I am also going with under 115.5 total touchdown yards. That's what I want to do.
I can't wait till
you can't host, 88-yard let's touchdown. Make a deal and then say you want both 1 and 3.
Can I change my prop to Sammy Watkins' longest reception, like 99-yard touchdown?
That's what I've done. That you cannot mock and ridicule the host. I get to make my decisions. You guys win or lose based on your arguments. That's it. All right, Cheesehead. Give me something. Give me your latest from the 888 Sport sponsored Action News Desk segment.
So this is an actual cheese. It's 9 pounds of cheddar. It weighs a lot. So thank you to the folks at Borden for getting this to me. Okay, so we have the top prop bets by number of bets at DraftKings. Number 1, Mahomes for MVP. Number 2, Brady for MVP. Number 3, coin toss heads. Number 4, coin toss tails. I mean, come on. That can't be. I mean, it's just a joke to the entire industry that that's number 3 and 4.
People are idiots. What else can you do? There is no edge. You bet based on the edge. Back me up, fellas. Is there an edge?
By the way, hasn't Tails hit 6 of last 7?
Every time you flip it,
Uh.
it's random. The preceding flips have no impact on the next flip.
How much more money is there on heads? Like, are books?
The last I saw, heads had 50. The last book, I'm not sure what book it was. It's heads 50 and a half and tails 40. Yeah, so it's split like that. But the big bets, where there's one bet that came today at BetMGM, $6,666 on heads. That's the largest we've seen. And at FanDuel, there's a $5,000 bet on heads.
I mean, people are idiots, but we're listening to a guy talk with cheese on his head. So I don't really know what that means.
Also true. I am sure that Corner has simulated the coin flip 10,000 times. These are my bets. These are the bets that I've chosen. The Bucks prop that I love. Leonard Fournette over 3.5 receiving yards. The Chiefs prop that I love. The Tyreek Hill over 3.5 receptions. Tyreek Hill over 92.5 yards receiving. And the novelty prop that I love, under 115.5 total yards for touchdowns. I think that's pretty good. I think that's a good lineup. I think that's a really good lineup. Join us again on Sunday afternoon at Action Network HQ for Convince Me Super Bowl Preview Spectacular. For Matthew Friedman, Chris Raybon, Sean Corner, Darren Ravel. Thank you to our sponsors at 888 Sport. We'll see you on Sunday.